Hey there, it's Linda West. I'm so glad you're here today. I help entrepreneurs go from being inactive to being in action, from going from squirrel to being focused. I help them go from overwhelmed to being in control with what they're working on. I do this with my GSD mastermind system. Now, today I want to talk about a billionaire. Yes, I met many billionaires this last couple of days, and I'm excited to share some of the nuggets that I learned from them. One of them was named Jeff, and I can't use any last names because I didn't get, oh, there's my dog, squirrel. I didn't get approval to use their names, so I will just say their first names. But one of the first things I learned was that what Jeff shared with us is that no matter what industry you are in and who you deal with, that you just have to be you. You have to be true to yourself. You have to make sure that whatever it is that you're doing, that you feel confident enough to just be you, be who you are at all times. I thought that was a huge, great takeaway because I do want to be myself at all times. It makes it easier for me to be me, right? So I'm so glad to hear him say that and knowing that I'm on the right path because I am just me. That's a brilliant, brilliant. One of the tips that he taught us is that on his emails, he has a message that on it says, I check my emails at this time in the morning and this time in the evening. And those are the only times he checks his emails. The reason he does that is because so often in today's society where everything is moving so fast, people are getting answers right away. He wanted to make sure that if he doesn't respond in 10, 15, 20 minutes, that the people know why. They know it's because he's only going to check his email twice a day. So that is another great tip. And then he's telling us about, like, if you're going to do something, do it because you want to. Instead of just doing something to make money, do it as something that you want to do. So here was an interesting that we learned at this event. It was called Prosperity Camp, held by Greg Reed of Secret Knock. And one of the greatest things we learned is that it's kind of divided. Half of the billionaires that we heard from go talk about purpose, and half of them talk about make the money first and then follow your passion, your purpose later. And so it was divided half and half. So the bottom line to this is just do it, right? Just get yourself out there and just do something. Do something. Don't sit on the fence. Just do it. And this gentleman, Jeff, he actually came from the projects, and he shared afraid to go back to the projects. If something happens, like all along this journey, from starting in the projects and becoming a billionaire, he's a billionaire, all along the way, the entire time, he was never scared of going back to the projects. And so that always kept him centered and also kept him on task and on path to his mission. And he shared this thing. It's like, I'm sure you've heard this before, but sometimes you just need to hear it again, right? If it doesn't work, what's the worst thing that can happen? So the bottom line on this is that just get out there, put yourself out there and try something. Because if it doesn't work, think about it. What's the worst thing that can happen? Ask yourself that when you're faced with the challenge of doing something or not doing something. A lot of times people won't do something for fear of failure. His point was that just go ahead and do it, even if you're afraid it's going to fail. Because what is the worst thing that can happen? What's the worst thing that can happen when you fail? You learned a great lesson. Failure is not failing. Failure is really about learning lessons along the way. Then he talked about investment. He does invest in businesses. And so he shared some of the things that when you're an investor, like if you're somebody who's looking for investment money, here's the way to help you to get into the investment, the person who's giving the investment, get into their world. That was to actually reach out to them and spend time with them, spend time with the investors. Because the more you spend time with them, they get to know you and your character. Your character is really the driving force behind most investors, how they will decide if they're going to invest in you or not. For example, say you have this amazing project, but your character is crappy and you just have a bad attitude. They're not going to want to deal with you. So make sure that you are a kind person who's giving, caring, sharing, who also has a great product that they want to invest in. They know that they're going to get their returns because bottom line for them really is, I'm going to invest in something. I don't want to invest in something that is not going to have a great return, but I also the person I'm investing in, because they're investing their money in you more than they are the product, because you're the one who is going to drive that product to market. You're the one who's going to drive that service to market, because if you can drive that service or product to market, you're the one who is going to have people follow you, right? If you have people following you, then they're going to want to invest in you because they know that you actually perform and you take action, which is what I help people do, right? Get people into action. Okay, the next one, he said he invests with people that he has a good feeling about. He wants to be able to associate with them, so he wants to make sure he has a good feeling about them. So that was the next thing. And then character and integrity were key for him. Very, very key. If he's going to invest money in you, he wants to make sure that your character and your integrity are intact. Then next he said, of course, though, the widget needs to work. The widget needs to make some sense. So if you have a product that doesn't make any sense, no matter how amazing you are and how much your heart is into it, and you know that this thing is going to work, if it doesn't make sense for the investor, they're not going to invest in it. So make sure that whatever it is that you have, that you can make sure it makes sense to them. So it might not be that the item doesn't make sense, but maybe the messaging that you're giving doesn't make sense to them. So you have to make sure that you have your messaging clear enough that anybody can understand it, especially if they're not living in your world and they don't understand the language and you speak, right? Very, very important. This was really important too. He talked about mentors, like what is a great mentor? And he was saying that understanding the strengths and weaknesses of the mentee is very important. And I learned this many years ago. I've been training people since I was 16 years old. My very first job, I started training anybody who was new that came in. So as I look back on my past, I didn't realize this at the time, but I realize now that I had an ability to change the wording if I understood that somebody wasn't getting what I was saying. So I was able to just change the wording a little bit so that they would get it. Sometimes I would have to say something 3 or 4 different ways before I saw that person was getting it. And that was really important to me. So I thought that was really cool. It's like, wow, I've been doing that for years, decades now, is being a good mentor, because I'm able to explain something in a way that people get it. And that was awesome. So it's important when you're looking for a mentor, make sure that mentor can speak to you in a way that you understand. That's so important, because mentorship, somebody can have gone before you and they've done the thing you want to do, right? Like they're doing it right now. They're excelling in that thing that you want to do. But if they can't explain to you in a way that makes sense to you, then that doesn't help you at all, right? Because you won't get it. You won't get it at all. So it is really important to find a mentor who speaks your language, not only one that has been there or who is there where you want to be, but also one that can explain it to you in a way that makes sense to you. If it doesn't make sense to you, you're never going to get it. So these are the tips that I learned from Mr. Jeff, one of the billionaires that I met this last couple days. And it was an absolutely amazing event called Prosperity Camp at Secret Knock. If you want to hear about Secret Knock, which the next one is being held in May, I don't have the dates handy, but it's at the end of May, May 20-something. If you're interested in finding out about Secret Knock and finding out how you can be surrounded by millionaires and billionaires, please reach out to me. My email, I'll go ahead and list it I'll list it right there, linda@lindamwest.com. Go ahead and send an email to me, and I'd love to hear from you. Or you can send me a private message if you're seeing this on Facebook, Linda Sunshine West. And I look forward to hearing from you. Guys, Secret Knock is an absolutely amazing event. Every time I attend one of those events, I walk away with huge takeaways. And I'm going to share some of the ones that I learned this last few days by the different speakers. So go ahead and subscribe to my channel here so you'll be notified when I'm going to be talking about them, when I'm going live. And I look forward to hearing from you guys and seeing you. Again, my name is Linda West, and I help entrepreneurs go from being inactive in action. If you are sitting on the fence of something, you have something that you're trying to do, you want to do, but you've been putting it off for a long, long period of time, I'm your gal. I'm going to get you into action and make that happen. Because what happens is every day that you don't do something that you want to do or you know you need to do, every single day, it eats at you. You might not realize it, but it is back there. It's in your head. It's in your head. So what we do is we help you get it out of your head and make it happen so that you can feel good about what you're doing. You can feel good about what you've done. Everybody have a wonderfully blessed day, and I look forward to seeing you. Good day, everybody.